Child, everything happens with her. Then Marcus dies, and then we go into full gear of Jonathan becoming vice president.
And there's such a small timeline from the time these events happened with Pete and me confronting him in the beach house to the time my dad passes away.
Whew. Joni starts dating this man. Okay, I'll throw this in there. With all my heart, I wanted her more than anybody else to find love. I wanted her so badly to not be alone. I loved her. I wanted her to be happy. And then she starts talking to him. She says, trust me. We always trusted her. So we started to trust her until it was more October of 2022 when things started to change. We found out more details about divorce. We have Matthew 19. I start talking to pastors to get actual biblical counsel. So that's October 22 is when it started to get really, the tensions arose, panic attacks began, all sorts of things. And then from October, it's building until July of 2023 when I was fired because I stood on my convictions. Won't get into that at this point, but that's what happened. At that point, life got very difficult, complicated. Jonathan was trying to manage what to do. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, there became a giant rift in the family because Suzy had just been fired and stripped away of her ability to do ministry on Daystar after many years. And I also was removed from television to where I could not be on and continue. So we're just suddenly abruptly off television. And I continue on.
While telling the world we were on a sabbatical, which was a lie.
Yeah.
We're not okay with that. We're not okay with lies.
So, yeah, that was their way to cover, is that they would place me on a sabbatical. And so I continue on. I feel strongly from the Lord to continue in my role at Daystar. And I continue on. The board eventually gets to the point where they force me to sign an NDA to be able to stay in my position as vice president and on the board. And that's what you heard the clip of that was posted on YouTube. And I said no. Knowing what I know, I cannot sign an NDA. There had been so much spiritual abuse that we've gone through. There had been obviously questionable things going on with my daughter. But I said, no, I'm not going to sign the NDA.
And that was November 16th was that board meeting. And this is the crazy part. It was 2 days after Jonathan said no to the NDA. 2 days after, November 18th, we get the call, find out it was a cover-up. The people who supposedly did this investigation, both of them said, nope, it was shut down. We did no investigation. That sends me honestly spiraling. I couldn't believe that level of deception and trauma. I mean, I had seen lies throughout, but this level, it was too much for my heart to even bear. I hit a downward spiral. I really did. And at that point, we knew we need to take action. So the best path of action forward was first find a counselor for our child. We went, found a counselor, told the counselor called CPS called the cops, and the detective called me back, reopened the case. Told him what happened on that vacation, all our concerns, and how we're worried about not only, yes, our child is out of danger at this point. We want justice for our child, but it doesn't matter whose child it is. Children must be protected. Mm. It's much bigger than just our story, because this person has influence and, can be around other children. Now, I don't know if you've gone through counseling. It's not easy. Counseling can be extremely hard, digging into the places that your mind doesn't want to go, wants to protect you from. And it was really, really hard on our child. That process for a few months, every time she went through a session, when she came home the rest of the day, no one could touch her. She was on guard. Her body started breaking out like it did before. It looked like shingles, but it was eczema. And I started to cry because I was just like, I cannot see my child suffer like this. And I spoke to an older counselor, someone else, who said, God has given our bodies this defense mechanism to protect us. Don't force it. Don't push it. When it comes out, it will come out in God's timing. Yeah. You have to trust God. And so we talked to our counselors. That counselor said, go on a trip. Let her rest. Let her be a child again. Meanwhile, we start getting followed. I know I'm going through this really fast, but there's a lot of details. We're being followed. I'm terrified to go to the grocery store. There's a man taking a picture of me. Outside our house, we see mysterious cars. It gets really bad to the point Jonathan, me, and our children, we just packed up, got in the car, and drove for days. And that's how we went to South Dakota.
And that's what we've clearly seen in this year 2024 is God is cleansing his bride. It says judgment begins in the house of the Lord. And he is exposing all this hidden sin and corruption and bringing it to the surface so he can do a new thing. Yeah. And so this is part of that movement. God is using this exposure to cleanse his bride. And so we went to Julie Roy's back in August. And it wasn't up until November that she actually released the story. And now Daystar is doing their best from their PR machine to try to cover their basis. They're saying that I had a performance improvement plan that expired on November 15th. That's true. However, I was not coordinating a release of my story with the end of that plan. Far from that. We were ready to get our story out in August. That's when we went to Julie. However, she